Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies, just running a tiny bit late there for the start of this session. So I just posted a quick trade there. I just bought Dow futures at 35,223, just for the opening bell really, and just to see how that trade manifests itself in the next short period. So markets are a little bit higher than we saw first thing this morning. I just recently sold out of a DAX position, and the DAX again is better bid than the Dow, currently trading 15,794, and a purchase that I did earlier at 15,766. I just sold out of there, probably a little bit on the early side. From a news perspective, the things that we're waiting on are the Jerome Powell speech that will take place during the course of the afternoon. There's been a lot of focus on tapering. So we've had this huge bond buying program that's been going on since about March of last year, and how that is going to slow down over the next period of time. So it's been well telegraphed over the last number of Fed meetings, last number of speeches that we've had from Jerome Powell, that tapering is about to start, but there's been no firm dates, although there's been some speculation from some of the other Fed members that we've seen speak during the course of the week, that it should start soon. So as I wrote in the market comment this morning, there's been some speculation that it will be announced at the next meeting in September, and that potentially tapering will start in October. The real issue with tapering, and you'll have seen things in relation to what's been described as a taper tantrum in the past, and if you think back, for those of you who can, back to 2008, 2009, when we had the global financial crisis, there was a lot of bond buying, and then in 2013 they started a tapering process, and it didn't go particularly well. The one thing that I would say is that the equity market tends to do better when the tapering comes to an end. So as opposed to other risk assets that may start to suffer. So as you'll know, my preference with us trading at these record highs is that I prefer to be short the market, but with the Jackson Hole Symposium going on, this conference or this speech that we're expecting from Jerome Powell, the fact that the S&P has been trading at record highs day after day, the fact that the Nasdaq is trading at record highs, I just think that we're set up for a push higher towards those record levels in the Dow. It's been a slight laggard in relation to the three major US indices that you can follow, and I think there is a little bit more in it. So I've been happy to buy on dips, and I've bought again there for the opening bell at 35,223. I've got two positions from yesterday that are considerably against me. Need to monitor those, but in the context of the week that I've had, it's still been a very good week, and so I'm willing to give those trades a little bit more opportunity to recover. So what I'm hoping to see is some buying start to come through at the opening bell, and looking to capitalise that, and certainly to unwind fairly quickly the position that I've just put on. We've got about just over 2 minutes now to the opening bell. We're seeing a bit of a push to the upside. Futures trading 35,234, so that's about the highest that we've seen since we started this live session, and still a bit of a push to the upside. I think the thing that changed my opinion just in the very short term in terms of getting long the market yesterday and trading from the buy side. I think the early movement that we saw back to 35,400 and just above those levels looked as if we were going to attempt those record highs. And there was good consistent strength coming through in the market. Then we had a bit of a sell-off in line with this taper tantrum, with some of the things that are going on in Afghanistan. When we say taper tantrum, I mean some of the Fed officials suggesting that the tapering process should start quickly. And we saw a fairly aggressive sell-off of about 100, 150 points, which enabled or allowed me to buy on those dips. But meant that I was caught on one of the longer positions that I'd initiated earlier in the day. So we'll see how we continue into the opening bell. About 90 seconds or so to go to the opening bell. So I'm just going to put the Dow onto a 1 minute chart so you can see the levels that we've traded at today. We did push up to 35,290 in early morning trading today, which enabled me to get out of one of my trades that I was running over from yesterday. So I've been quite fortunate with the trades that I've run over, that I've carried overnight over the last short period. My preference is definitely not to do that. It does influence your trading the following day, that it's very difficult to step aside from it and approach the day with that completely clean or clean sheet of paper when you are carrying positions open. We'll just see how we trade here in the beginning. I'm going to put probably just going to put a TP in up around the 250 level, probably 253, which is just the height of the candlesticks that you see there. So we've got a few sellers coming into the market now just before the open there. And we're due for the opening bell to go. So slightly softer now after that initial, and there we go. I think the market is open, and we have traded back up towards the levels that we were originally seeing. Buyers not running away with it by any stretch of the imagination, fairly even at this point, just into those first few minutes of trading, or first minute of trading really. After the opening bell, so it'll be interesting to see where we move from this point. I have my TP in, moving back down towards the 35,200 line, which is effectively where this market closed yesterday. But as I said, I think we've seen some fairly decent buying on the dips over the last 3 or 4 weeks as we've traded back to these levels. We did push through 35,000 on the one occasion, but we've more often than not encountered buyers and seen some movement back to the upside when we've hit these levels in the past, and that's obviously what I'm hoping for during the remainder of this afternoon. So what we tend to see, or what I'm looking to see, is after about 3 or 4 minutes of trading that we see, after those opening orders have gone through, that we see some concerted buying coming through, and we push to that TP level that I have in the market at this time. Not quite getting there at this stage, just falling a little bit short. We're currently trading 35,230. Just pushing on there now a little bit, back up to 240. I think my TP was in at 253. We've traded 244 on the high at the moment. So what I'll probably do is allow this to continue to trade in the background whilst we look at the trades for this week, and just see if there are any questions that you have that I'm able to answer for you during this session. As always, if the questions aren't forthcoming in the next 10-15 minutes or so, if you do have a question, please send them through to me by email, and I will do my best to respond to them today, and if not today, over the course of the weekend. It's been so let's just look at the trades for the week and allow this to trade in the background. So we're back down a little bit. There's not a great deal of activity, to be fair. Currently, we've been back down to 225, up to 235, 240, but no strong trend at the moment. I think people are it's a wait and see approach, just to see what rumours or sound bites are going to start to come out of Jackson Hole, and in particular markets now waiting to see what we're going to hear from Jerome Powell. My opinion, Jerome Powell started in the Fed in the same year as what is referred to as the taper tantrums in 2013. So my own take on what we're going to hear this afternoon is that he is going to continue to be quite dovish. I don't think that he's going to commit to too much in terms of dates as to when things are going to happen. I think he still sees that the COVID situation has a few twists and turns still in it over the remainder of this year and into the beginning of next year. So I don't think that he's necessarily going to be committing to anything too definite in terms of dates as when tapering is likely to occur. So we just TP level was just taken out there on the Dow trade. So I think we took 30 pips or so out of that trade, and I'll update that as we get on to looking at the results for this week. So that Dow trade is now just closed. So I have 2 positions left open. Those are the trades from yesterday. So another very successful week. Without closing those 2 trades down, the profit will stand at 803 pips for the week. I'll just update the trade that was done there. So we bought at 35,223 and we sold at 35,253. So there you go, 803 pips on the week so far. We have the 2 trades left open. Just looking at the success rates, 44 trades on the week, 5 of those are losing trades. So sticking with a high percentage of winning trades, which is good. No trades that have really been stopped out, bar potentially the 2 trades that I still have left open. Took some small losses on trades that had been considerably against me, that traded back into profit. Every single trade or every single day this week has been a winning trade, winning day. None of them particularly stand out, fairly constant around that 150 pip mark. Today slightly less than that. But gold on Monday, traded all the way up, I think over Monday and Tuesday, trading up to about 1809 before starting to move lower. It's currently trading at 1991, traded at 1804 today, 1805. I sold at 1800.5, bought back fairly early when that trade came back into profit, but I think it's been as low as 1991. So we'll just look back on the trades. As I said, or as I've mentioned already, please, if you have questions, do send those through to me. So we're still seeing a bit of buying coming through in the Dow, nothing spectacular, hovering around that 35,250 level. Hopefully we'll see a push back to 35,300 in the next 20 minutes or so, and ideally I'll have an opportunity to reduce my Dow position a little bit further. But just want to have a quick look at gold. Gold's now broken below 1790, trading 1789 and a half. And you can see the rally that caused me that pain at the beginning of the week. I'm just going to widen this out, maybe taking it to a 1 minute chart there. So you can see the rally that I might just, 15 minute chart there. So you can see the rally in the middle of your charts that gold had back up towards the 1803 level in the last couple of days. Fallen all the way away, 1789. Depending on what we see from Jackson Hole and from what Jerome Powell has to say, let's not forget it was only about 13 days ago that we were trading at 16.99 in gold. So we've had a significant rally. My longer term opinion of gold is that we will go back down and test that 1700 level. It's a Friday. I don't want to be too aggressive with a gold position, but I do think on the back of what Jerome Powell has to say this afternoon that we might see a continuation of that sell-off, and over the next number of weeks push back towards that 1700 level. So we'll see how that materialises, or what materialises after Jerome Powell has had his chance to speak this afternoon. The other market that we follow aggressively, or follow closely, is the DAX. DAX is back trading above 15,800. I stopped out a DAX trade late yesterday, took a 50 pip hit on the DAX just because I wanted to hold my Dow positions, and didn't want to add further exposure to what I was running overnight, but we're back above the level that I traded yesterday, where I bought at 15,800. And I do think that the DAX will continue to improve. I am hoping for a stronger movement from the Dow this afternoon as well. So I'll leave you there. It's been a good week. I think we've had one bad week in 10 now, so that's very, very good. And the returns, 800 pips of a return is a really, really good return. I think the returns over the last 10 weeks have been exceptional. I don't want them to become the norm. If you see a return of 250 pips on a week, for me that's a really, really good return. Just recently we've been hovering around that 700-800 pip level, and I hope that people don't get too focused on trying to hit those levels on a daily basis. The returns over the last number of weeks have been exceptional. So look, thank you very much for joining me. If you do have questions, please send those through by email to myself or Sam, and I promise that I will be back to you over the course of the weekend. For the remainder of the afternoon, I think the trading's going to be light. It's been a good week. There's no point giving any of it back. Just monitoring those two Dow positions and eventually closing those trades down. Thank you very much for joining me.